What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And just a quick disclaimer before this video is that all the teams in this video have clinched their playoff spot, but the seeding is kind of messy with like the Islanders and the Panthers. The Panthers haven't played their final game yet before this video is going to be out before they do. So their rankings could flip and they could be playing different teams. But all the teams in this video are in the playoffs. So it's not like speculation of what teams are even going to make it in because as of today, the Islanders beating the Canadiens knocked the Penguins out of contention, snapping their 16 season streak of going to the playoffs, which that's insane. 16 years, you could buy their playoff streak a car. Like that's insane. So congrats on them. It's a shame that Crosby and Malcolm didn't get a chance to get back there, but hey, it is what it is. It's pro sports. So yeah, this is the field. We got Vegas, Winnipeg, Los Angeles, Edmonton, Colorado, Seattle, Dallas, Minnesota, Boston, both New York teams, Tampa Bay, Toronto, Carolina, Florida, and New Jersey. So I'm going to start over in the Western Conference up at the top left hand corner of the screen. And yes, this is going to be my Stanley Cup uh, playoff bracket predictions kind of deal. This site was Bracket Fights. Man, there's a lot of brackets you can make your own. This isn't even like sponsored, but hey, shout out to them for this easy accessibility of this website to make this whole video. So shout out to them. If you want to do this, if with your friends or just whatever. But yeah, if you like this type of stuff, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot. And yeah, so let's just hop into it. So the first matchup over here, we have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Winnipeg Jets. And this is one of those series where I definitely think just straight off the bat, Vegas is definitely a better team than Winnipeg. Winnipeg has definitely been a rocky as they've been playing really rocky as of late. And one of the key things in this series is Connor Hellebuck. And I just think how he plays is how Winnipeg is going to respond and play. I do think that I know Vegas is the better overall team here than Winnipeg. So the Jets' success all rests on Hellebuck, in my opinion. Whereas I know uh, Vegas, they did add Jonathan Quick, so they do bring in a solid veteran Stanley Cup champion goaltender to goaltend for them. But my gut, it's telling me it's Vegas. I, I don't see any chance that the Jets beat Vegas unless injuries or something drastic happens. But who knows? Maybe they just come out to play. But I just have Vegas taking it in game one. So moving down here, we got the Kings and the Oilers, which the Kings, they're one of those teams that they kind of had like that sneaky good year. They never made like too many headlines. They don't like besides trading Jonathan Quick, like they just kind of like they just rode the wave, had like a really good year, not like too many like great things, not too many bad things. They just kind of flew under the radar and just were like, "Hey, yeah, guys, we're here. We're gonna make it." And they're playing Edmonton, who man, they got McDavid, they got Drysital, and this one's a real toss up because either team can win. Edmonton's gonna go as far as McDavid and Drysital can take them, and that's that. Like that's I think this will be one of those series that I feel like it's gonna go the length. It's gonna take all the games. Uh, Regardless, unless, like I said, injuries, which I'm not even going to really consider injuries when I do the rest of this. Like, I'm not even going to be like, oh, well, if injuries happen, this team can win. I feel like because it's playoffs and players, they just step up when the game's big, when it's prime time. And I have the Oilers. I feel like McDavid, Dreisaitl, I feel like they can definitely overpower the Kings. Yeah. So, which will make a nice Edmonton Vegas matchup. And I feel like would be another good matchup. So I'm just gonna keep going down the list of the first ones before I. So we got the Avalanche, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, playing the newbies, the Seattle Kraken, which, like I said, I know all these teams made it. I'm not 100% sure if the seeding is correct on both. I know the Islanders and the Panthers, like I said before, is a little wonky because the Panthers still have a game. But if this is right, and these are who plays each other, here's the upset right there. I'm just clicking it early. I think the Avalanche, they're definitely a good team. They, but I don't know. The Kraken, they just had a, surprising year. They're young. I feel like they don't know no better. They're just like they're just gonna go in there and they're just gonna play hockey. I feel like they're just gonna be like, yeah, they're just gonna make it. Like they don't care that they're going up against the reigning Stanley Cup champions. They don't care that this is their second year in the league. They don't care. They're just gonna go in there and get the job done. So I hope that happens. I'd love to see uh, a new team do it. Vegas has done it ever since they've been in the league for the past what, like 5, 6 years ish, something like that. In the last matchup, we have Dallas and Minnesota, which this was another tough one in my opinion. Both these teams don't get like too much recognition, but they're both very, very solid teams. But what's edging me towards Minnesota is Marc-Andre Fleury, Stanley Cup winning goaltender, proves time and time again that he's the guy. He's been there with Pittsburgh. He's been there with Vegas. He's there now with Minnesota. I feel like this is just the feather in his cap that he can do it, and I feel he's going to help. Minnesota's going to go as far as he's going to take them. Unlike Winnipeg, like Fleury, I feel like can just carry Minnesota just straight to. You're going to see how far that they get. So sticking with the Western Conference here, we got Vegas and the Oilers, which this is a good matchup because I think the LA Edmonton series is going to go a while. I do feel McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be a little bit burnt out, and I feel Vegas just has that winning culture just in them. And I do have Vegas winning again. They make it. I was flip flopping between these two, but I just feel like overall, I just had to give to Vegas. And then down here, Wild versus the Kraken. Uh, the Kraken pull off a huge upset of the Stanley Cup champions, but it's hard for me to root against Fleury. It's hard. So I have the Seattle Kraken Cinderella story fall short right here, making it a Vegas Golden Knight versus Minnesota Wild Western Conference Final. And before I get to this side of the bracket, subscribe, but I'm going to hop over to the Eastern Conference of the thing. And like I said, this will be Boston versus either Florida or the Islanders, but regardless of who they play, Boston is going to win. I'm not even going to deliberate. They just had the best season ever. Points, wins. They're just all around the best. They got a great goalie tandem. So even they don't have to have their star goalie go out there. I'm blanking on his name right now, and I apologize for that. But Boston is just they're too good to blow this. They're just if they do, it's a shame. It really is a shame. So whether it be Florida, whether it be New York, I definitely think Boston's going to win. And because these two were flip flopping, this is the next matchup. I'm going to go the Carolina Florida one. I'm going to have Carolina win it. That way, there's no discrepancies whatsoever. So whoever plays these games, the favorite's going to win. Carolina, back-to-back 100-point seasons. They're very, very good team. So I have no reason to believe that they would just fumble the bag. It's not like they're the Toronto Maple Leafs over here. Am I right? But yeah. So moving back up, we got Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs. This I feel like it's going to be a very, very good series. The Maple Leafs definitely added a whole bunch of guys. Ryan O'Reilly, the big one. Tampa Bay won 2 of the past 3 Stanley Cups. So they're no stranger to the playoffs. They're no stranger to the big moments. And I do think the curse does not get broken this year. It's another full series letdown. And I apologize to the country of Canada, to the city of Toronto, to all the Maple Leafs fans, to all the Maple Leafs players, to all the Maple Leafs organization, to anyone who's ever had maple syrup. Tampa Bay Lightning is moving on, which I couldn't find it in myself to justify the Leafs beating the Lightning in a series versus the Leafs past playoff debacles versus the Lightning's past playoff success. It was a no-brainer. And it just is what it is. I apologize, but I yeah, I'm sorry. It's like I'm sorry, not sorry type of deal. But It's hockey. Uh, yeah. So moving on, we got the New York Rangers versus the New Jersey Devils, who they've had a surprise year. Like I don't think anybody projected them to be as good as they were this year. And the Rangers are one of those teams where it's like they added Tarasenko, they added Patrick Kane, they got Sorokin in net, and I do, in fact, have the Rangers upset, or I don't even know if it would be an upset of, yeah, I think it would because Carolina's winning that division, right? Then New Jersey, then New York. I'm sorry, I don't have a reference sheet for this video. I'm just kind of going based off feeling what feels right. You guys know what I'm talking about. So we got the Bruins and the Lightning, and I feel Boston Bruins, they're, I just think they're too good. The Lightning, after beating the Maple Leafs, I feel this series is going to be good, but the Bruins are just better. They're that team. They got that dog in them. It's Stanley Cup or bust for them. It's you can't just have the best season ever and flunk out of the playoffs in the first or second round. So part of me is just like, yeah, they're the best team. They're going all the way, but I got to be realistic and anything could happen in these series. And then this series, the Carolina New York series, I feel like it's going to be a real good series. But New York, yeah, they struggled at first when they brought in all those new guys. But one thing they did get is they got their chemistry down and they were looking good. And with Sorokin back there, Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, plus all the guys they already had, I'm just naming the newbies on the team. But I have the Rangers winning. So you got a battle of Vegas and Minnesota, and then you got New York and Boston. What better? New York and Boston. Yankees, Red Sox, Bruins, Rangers. I don't think these two fan bases colliding is this this would be must see hockey in my opinion. Rangers, Bruins. Uh, and then we go over to the Western Conference. We got Vegas and Minnesota, which I don't think Vegas and Minnesota have any sort of rivalry whatsoever. So maybe not as cutthroat fan wise from that side of the conference, but hey, it is what it is. And I do think I'm a. I like Marc Andre Fleury. I think he's one of the best goalies, and I have the Minnesota Wild, going to the finals, beating the Golden Knights. I feel the Golden Knights they put up a good run, and in my mind, I'm picturing Marc Andre Fleury versus Jonathan Quick, and who I would want in net in a game seven. And if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I don't think I could give you an answer. I feel that Kings team with Quick that won those cups and Flurry and those teams that won the cups, it's like, who would you pick in that situation? Like, please let me know who you would pick in that situation. Prime Flurry or prime Jonathan Quick. But today, at this moment, when I am filming this video, if I had to pick one of those goalies to carry my team to the final to win one game, I would have to go with Marc Andre Fleury. Like that's I can't like I just feel Quick doesn't not that he's not a good goalie. He's still a great goalie, but he's lost just that much more of a step than Fleury in my opinion. So, I have the Minnesota Wild making it to the finals and I feel like that could go game 7 and on the eastern side this is also going to go game 7. Boston and New York. Boston trying to make that final after their historic season just to come short to the New York Rangers for a New York Minnesota Stanley Cup final. And I'm got to be honest with y'all. When I sat down to do this video, there was no thought in my mind. I'm like, you know what? When I make this video, I'm gonna have this team go all the way. There was no thought in my mind. I was just like looking at these matchups that I hope are correct. That I do hope are correct. I hope that bracket fights had these lined up the correct way. Because if they didn't, then this video is just going to be some stupid mumbo jumble. None of the matchups are right or whatever. But, regardless, regardless of if all those uh, games were right, the Stanley Cup final can be right because it's one from each conference and you can't mess that up. So we got the New York Rangers versus the Minnesota Wild. And I just feel like once the team fully meshes, which they have, and based off of their goalie, I think the New York Rangers. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? There we go. There we go. Little technical difficulty. I apologize for that. But I feel the New York Rangers will beat the Minnesota Wild in the 2022-2023 Stanley Cup Final. So that is my bracket as of right now. Like I said, this is based off me sitting down looking at this bracket and being like, you know what, this is who I think is going to win. So let me know what you guys think. Matchups you think I got right, matchups you think I'm completely wrong about. I know you're probably talking about this Colorado Seattle one right here, but hey, I love a good underdog story. Uh, but yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a like, please subscribe, and I'll catch you tomorrow with my first ever NFL mock draft. So have a good one. God bless.